Hello and thanks for joining me for Goblins of Elderstone. This game has just come out into full release on Steam. I believe it's been in development for about 7 years. It started off as a Kickstarter, so I've played a little bit of it. You can see up here, these things here are your achievements. When you first play, that'll be empty, but every time you come in to start a new game, previous achievements that you've done will fill these up. So we're going to click on a new game. It's a colony building game where we have a little tribe of goblins, grows into a large tribe of goblins, and we've got 3 ways of starting off. We've got story creation, and so if we do this method, then basically you get asked a bunch of questions. Depending on which ones you pick, it'll ask different questions. Different gods will ask different questions, and depending on which answers you give again, you'll get other gods chime in. And if you keep on going, then that asks you more questions. Which enemy? The other one was what sort of magic you want to do. You know. And the first question was like good or evil, or war. And what will happen is, based on how you answer, it'll spit out the gods that are more in tune with the questions that you've answered. So we're going to go right back to the start. So that's the story creation mode. And depending on that, you might get 1, 2, 3 or 4 gods. 4 is the maximum that you can have out of 8. You can go to random. That'll just choose your gods for you at random. I like to go into this one and choose them myself. And you can have up to 4. So as you can see, on each god has its different alignment, different type of magic, and its different enemy. They all have different spells here. Some of these are passive, like that abundance is passive, and this nature walk is passive. There's that one there, and it doesn't actually tell you here, but when you get into it, those 2 are passive, and that one you have to enable using juju, which is a resource, I guess, like mana, but it's called juju, which you collect, and you use that to spend on these spells later on. So I do like Iridan because of the nature walk's pretty good for trekking. That's a bit later on in the game. What that'll do is that will actually it'll lessen the time that it takes for you to do treks. So I like that. This is handy sometimes if you've got sort of low resources with your wood and your berries. That'll refresh those. And having extra wooden sticks is being harvested is also pretty good. So we'll take Iridan. Also like having Copperface. I don't really use the Travelling Trader that much unless I miss the spring by the time I've built my trade hut. But the fertility bonus, which is passive, that's pretty good. Having an additional goblin baby every year is a good bonus to have. I also like having Fury Mane, because when you open up this spell, and you do have to have a certain amount of faith to unlock these spells, a certain amount of faith built up for this particular god, but that will let you get a new berserker for the cost of juju, which is an additional goblin. You can't assign him to any tasks. but you can send them out on treks, and they'll also help defend your village. And this little activated spell that does cost juju is also pretty good, giving you extra damage for when you're defending your village. It's pretty good, so I like to have him or her. I'm not sure if it's a him or her. I think it's a him. And finally, I'm going to go with Moongast. Now, this purge is that's passive, but allowing you to clear out the gravestones twice as fast is pretty handy. So gravestones on your local map, where your undead skeletons are going to rise up from to attack your village. So later on, when you've got shamans, we won't, like, none of this will matter in the early game until we got temples. It does take a while, but it will affect your game. So being able to clean them is pretty handy. And you can also get necromancers that cost you juju, but it's an additional goblin, and they're like the berserkers, except they use magic instead of just raw fighting strength. And so they're handy. It's an extra goblin. Once again, you can't assign them to any jobs, but you can send them out on treks just like your berserker, and you can also send them, they'll also protect your village if they're in your village. Now, all of these gods, you'll notice they all have a punishment. If you don't have enough faith in that god, then you'll cop this punishment. They all have one. So I'm going to go with these 4. I'm going to hit next. That's going to bring us here. Show you the ones that we've got. So just going to hit next again. And this will generate our map. This is random every time. One thing I would like to see is the ability to play the same map. We don't have that. So over here you can name your village. I'm just going to leave it. What we want to do, you click around on these hexes and you can see they've got different resources and different threat levels. So we want to find one that's at least moderate in all 3, but with a low threat. Usually you can find one. That one's pretty good. I don't often come across one. Sometimes I find one that's got 1 plentiful and 2 moderate and a low threat. But 2 is pretty good. So which one was that? That's the mount one. It's also a good idea not to be too close to the edge. That one's got plenty of food, moderate, medium threat. So the more central you are, I think, is probably a little bit better, because when you trek, if you're over one edge of the map, you've got to trek all the way over here. Whereas if you're more central, you can branch out in different directions without without taking too much time to get the other side of the map. So I'm going to go with this one. Plentiful wood, plentiful stone, moderate food, low threat. That's pretty good. Once you continue into there, that'll bring you into your starting clan. You can change the name of your clan up here. I'm just going to leave it. You can also customize your clan banner, different colors and different things. I'm going to leave that. So now, these are your starting resources here. And what you'll notice is if you enable the tutorial, that'll fill up the rest of these goblins in here, and you'll notice that there's different amount of resources here. Now, if I take one of them off of there, then it's disabled this tutorial. I'm not going to play with the tutorial. I've already done it. I'm going to reset that, and I'm going to choose these guys myself. So we have 3 different levels here. So you've got their war stat, that's how good they are at fighting. They've got their trade stat, that's how good they are at working. And that's the one that I find the most important for productivity. And then you've got your faith stat, which is good for your priests and your shaman. Then they also have these traits at the bottom. This one's a savage. He can only be assigned to a war job, or he can just be a peon. Obviously with a tiny war stat like that, he's not going to be much good as a war peon. They've also got different colours. See all these green ones, they are just regular goblins. These white ones, they're actually part of the faith faction. These red ones are part of the war faction. And there's no yellow ones here, but if you get a yellow one, they're part of the trade faction. So we want a leader that's relatively strong. And there's not much to choose from. This one, but he's pious. We don't really want pious ones, at least not yet. They can only work in faith jobs, so we can have him as our leader, but then he's going to be producing offspring that have higher chance of being pious. Don't really want that either. So this is not a very good selection of goblins to choose from. So what happens is we can go back, but if we do go back, and I will do it, but we're going to lose that good map that we had because it's going to reset the map. And I probably won't find another one that's got 2 plentifuls and a moderate. But something like that, 3 moderates and a low is pretty good, pretty central. Let's see what else is around. Moderate, plentiful, but high threat. Let's see. Well, alright, I'll go with that one. Let's go again. Let's reset this. Let's see if we've got a bit better diversity. Well, it's not super great. This one here. Let's see. Speedy is always a trait that I like. Once again, we've got no high trades. That one, but he can only be assigned to a war job. Not much use as a trade. Alright. 5. Yeah, it's not too bad. Alright, I think maybe... Let's see, we might have that one. Yeah, the Zealot. It doesn't force them to be in a faith job, but it will give them a bonus if they are in a faith job. Speedy I like. Doesn't have very good trade stats, but I might put that one in for our breeder. Hopefully we'll get some speedy goblins out of that. We do want that one for the high trade. And we need a 4th one at least. This one's got a high trade as well. And once we've got our 4, we'll get these starting goods to choose from. And this shiny, you won't get that in the tutorial. Now the shiny, as we add more goblins. Let's see. Don't really want that one. Yeah. Insomniacs suck. We don't want insomniacs or lazy goblins. I think I will grab that one. Yeah, as I put this in, just just have a look, watch these stats. As you add more goblins, these starting goods will decrease. So, hippies are not great. They can only do wood cutting, and they can only wood cutting, scavenging, and pig herding. Pig herding's later on in the game. Scavenging's also a little bit later in the game, but you know, does come in handy. Wood cutting we do need. I'd rather have a woodcutter with higher stats than that, but maybe we'll go with this guy. And see how it's gone down to 2. So, is that our highest trade that we have in here? That's not a savage, does look like it. So he's a male, that's going to be our breeder, and that's going to be our breeder as well. So that's our starting goods. Now if I put in another one, I think I might be able to manage one more. Let's just see if we do put him in. Yep, that'll go down. But if I add one more, we'll only get 1 shiny instead of 2. Having shiny is handy because it's really hard to get. It's very, very expensive if you buy it through the trader, and often he doesn't have it. In early game, you're not, by the time you can afford that, you're going to have access to it out on the world map. But this will allow us to build stuff. This will allow us to build some stuff early in the game before we're out in the world map. Because there's some buildings that need shiny and you can't get that in your local map. So that's our goblins we're going to start with. So we'll hit accept on that one. And this will bring us to our local map where we're going to set up our village. So once we're here, we want to pick where we're going to set up. So the things that you want to look for, this actually looks not too bad. So you need, especially at the start, you need wood, you need rocks, which are different to stone. That's stone. You need to build a mine on that to get stone. But these things here are your rocks. We need our berries. And we need our wood. But we will also need this stone and this iron. That's our juju. We'll need that later. Now these elder graveyards, these will spawn these little gravestones around it. And you'll also find these dotted around the map in other various places. And that is where undead zombie orcs, or not orcs, but goblins, they'll spawn from to attack your village during the winter. Let's see what else we've got around here. So, okay, we've got stone and iron in here, and frogs. Rocks. We've got trees, berries, more frogs there. Do we have frogs down here? We do have frogs down here. So, the other two things we want herb, and we also need hemp. Now, I've only done 3 games so far on this channel. One of them is definitely not fried chicken, which has obviously hemp in it. And the other game I've done is Escape the Pacific, where you also grow hemp. So I can't seem to get away from games that have hemp in them. But there you go. So I think, is that our only hemp plant all the way up here? So I'm looking for one of them that's a bit closer, if there is one. These walled dens, got to watch out for them. Don't want to be too close. Our goblins going too close to that. That's herbs. So we do want herbs, but we also want hemp. There's none down here. It looks like that one up in the top corner is the only one. That could be troublesome. Wait, what's up here? Nothing up here. Alright, so now these gates up here, these are where enemy factions, the humans and the dwarves and that, when they attack, they'll come through these gates. And that greyed out area we can't access. So that does look like the only hemp plant. Let's have another quick scan around. There's another gateway. So that could be problematic. We do need hemp and we need it reasonably early. Another quick scan. Alright. So that is going to be slightly problematic. Means we'll have to go pretty central. Well, I guess, I mean, yeah. I mean, down here would be perfect to build if that hemp was a bit closer. So maybe we will go somewhere around here. And we'll just have to make it over there. So you click on your flag, choose a spot, plonk down your fireplace, and this little cart here, that's where your storage is to start with. We want to build a warrens, or not a warrens, we want our grand hall. And let's see. We're going to want to get up closer to that hemp. Where was that? It was up all the way through here. So when we put our fireplace down, we can build within that circle. Now we can put some buildings outside of that. And other buildings have to be within that circle. Don't think we can quite fit it up there. Should have gone a bit closer to that, but that's okay. I'll put this as far out on the edge as I can because this will expand our area of influence. We're going to plonk that down there. And we'll let them build that. And they'll go and get this storage from here. If they don't have resources from that, then you'll see they'll come down here and they'll start scavenging. See, they need sticks for that. And they'll scavenge those sticks from there. We'll let them build it. And you can see they've got this little, it just went away, but they had this little black house over their heads, means they were homeless. Now that we've built this, we've now got a home. We now want to assign our breeders, and they're the only two that can breed. I'm going to put both of them in. And you can see their stat will determine the amount of you know, the percentages of what sort of goblins you're going to get out of it. Hopefully we'll get some with a speedy trait. We've got it relatively even among the three and the rest peons. Hopefully we'll get some decent workers. See how we go. Now the next thing we need to build is storage. And we're going to put in our storage. Now, you can bridge them up and they can walk quicker across bridges. You can also do this. So up on these raised areas, they would have to walk around here and up those stairs to get here. So if we were to build anything up here and have it bridged, then that's like a shortcut to get up there. We do want this juju, but that's later on. So I'm not going to build it right there. I'm going to build it over here. Probably in between. Where was the berries? Berries are right there. The trees are right there. And our rocks are there. I'm going to put this as far as I can over here. So it's sort of in between the three of those initial resources. We'll let them build that, and basically once they've built that, then we need to assign a goblin to that. Now we've got a baby born, which is good. Click on this little eye here. That'll show you babies. When they get to 3 years old, they can start working. When they get to 11 years old, then they can start, you can put them in as breeders. Now, if we click on our Grand Hall or any of our warrens and you click on this here, you can assign a clan chief. And that one there would be a good clan chief. Our clan chief will help defend against attacks on our village. At the moment, we don't need that. We might put him in for the first attack, but we might not need him straight away. Now our storage is done, and now we need tools. So we're going to put in one guy in here. I'll put in this guy. And he'll be a dedicated hauler. Now our peons do hauling. Later on when we build a trade hall, we can set peons various tasks. But it's always a good idea to have a hauler in there. The next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to have our crafting hut. And I don't know if that's too far to reach across to both. It's not gonna quite make it to meet up. But we'll put it there, connected to our storage, and that'll get our tools running. But basically, well, that's about all the time that I have for this episode. So I'm going to leave it there. And what I'll do is we'll continue this on in the next episode, where we'll get our crafting up and running, we'll get our woodcutters up and running. And but that's a basic start of the game. So if you did enjoy it, please leave me a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.